Hey y'all, we are back with another dense update. Here we go. Dave Castro, in his first on-camera interview since the 2024 CrossFit Games, sat down with longtime friend Sevan to talk about everything that's been going on since that day.
We're back! Yeah. Classic! We are back! We are back! We are getting Doug back!
Currently, I'm following fucking main site.
Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, it's fucking great and hard and challenging. And I'm actually, oh God, I don't even want to say this.
Sore? Old?
Yeah, both.
For me, it felt very much like the Dave we all know. He's always brutally honest, but he's very private about his personal life. There were some things that he was willing to share, and then some things he was not willing to share.
Did you have any concerns about being fired, losing your job?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Next question.
All right. Dave is going to leave.
He doesn't really talk much specifics about the lake event, but they do mention...
I do know from media that came out when you were there, I remember that you tested it, and I remember you tested it with a handful of athletes. I want to say that Trista Smith was there, and I only know that because I remember I think that someone said you beat her. You didn't say that, but someone else told me that. Can you tell me who else was there who tested it?
Who else tested it with us?
Was it the demo team? Did Colton test it?
It was a handful of the demo team. I don't remember all the athletes who tested it.
Okay. And so you did the exact run and then you did the swim.
Yeah.
And was that prior to Lazar testing it? Because he tested it also.
I don't know when he tested it.
Okay.
But other than that, they don't really get into anything else specific to the 2024 games. He does say that he is very much aware of what has been going on social media from the PFAA and other people, loud voices in the community since that day.
What's the question?
Was that hard for you? How did you process that? Were you aware of that? All three of those?
That stuff is not hard for me.
He addresses the claims about being unable to take feedback, unable to take criticism, blackballing people if they don't agree with him or if they don't like him.
Probably one of the closest people to me,
right?
And you've worked with me for over decades. What's your experience? What's your experience with me on that topic?
I know that Boz isn't afraid of you. I know Chuck's not afraid of you. I know Todd Widman's not afraid of you. I know Heather's not afraid of you. I know Curtis Bowler's not afraid of you. I know Doc Ray's not afraid of you. I know Bill Henniger's not afraid of you.
It couldn't be further from the truth, but I'm also not going to defend it. I also don't care. Like, say what you will. If that's what you believe, go ahead and believe it. It's not my job or my goal to change your mind on that topic. The people saying that are probably the furthest away from me and probably hardly even know me or have very little interaction with me. So I'm not worried about it.
They talk a little bit about the Community Cup, and he's excited about that. This is another one of those things that people are excited for, but we do want it to stick. We want something that's going to be consistent year after year, and he agrees with that. They talk about the CrossFit Athlete Council. CrossFit reached out to many of the games athletes to get some feedback. They had a call. He invited many people on that call. He did name some names: Dallin Pepper, Brooke Wells, Colton Mertens, Danielle Brandon. Not everybody was able to make the call, but for the people that did, they gave really great feedback, and they continued to have that dialogue after the call. They talk a little bit about the in-person semifinals being announced.
And there's even Rich Froning's event in an affiliate in CrossFit Mayhem. How fucking cool is that? It's super cool. To me, at least. I get excited. Like, the more we can bring in the heart and soul of CrossFit, fundamentally the affiliate base, the affiliates, and get them involved and excited about all of this, like, that excites me. And so, like, the fact that they're so tied to this in terms of, and it's as much as they want to engage.
They got into how that process will work as far as if somebody qualifies for the online semifinal in an affiliate, but then they want to go to an in-person semifinal event, will they backfill if that person has earned a spot both ways? They get into all of that. There's a part in there that specifically addresses all of the people who are boycotting right now, who are trying to entice or encourage people to move away from doing the open or giving CrossFit your money or participating in the game season at all. It's more of all of the media people who are pushing that narrative.
There have been media that has sided with you being removed from being in charge. Craig Ritchie, Brian Friend. Talking Elite Fitness has been extremely critical. John Woolley stays, just the meme guy, the bald meme guy, just stays on top of you.
They think I shouldn't be running it and I should be removed. Why would they associate with it if I am still running it and I'm not removed? I think
to get views for their channel, to make money, to take from the ecosystem.
high road for any of those people is to just detach from it. Hey, I wanted him removed. I don't want to be associated with. They should not want to be associated with something that I'm still involved with. If you're gonna take that stance through the fucking goal line. Stay away from it. If I'm still here, like, don't associate with it. I don't expect any of them to do that, right?
No, because they need the views.
Yeah.
And then in the chat, a lot of people asking, will we see the weekend reviews come back?
Dave, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I hope you do a weekend review tomorrow.
Monday.
We are back! We are back! We are getting Doug back!
Over the weekend, CrossFit Games did release the information on all the in-person semifinal events that athletes can attend in order to earn a qualifying spot to the CrossFit Games. This was posted to their Instagram as well as their website. First one being the Mayhem Classic. That will take place April 5th and 6th in Cookeville, Tennessee at CrossFit Mayhem.
Mayhem Classic is back.
You're going to like it.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
There are 9 in-person events in total, most taking 2 men and 2 women, except the Rebel Renegade Games, which is in South Africa. They will just take 1 male and 1 female. And then the Far East Throwdown, which is in South Korea. And Dave did confirm that they are looking at several other locations for the CrossFit Games, and that information on where and when it will be released soon. The Barbell Spin had posted on Twitter just Albany, New York. And then a few days later posted Las Vegas. So after CrossFit had released the in-person semifinal events, CrossFit Mayhem, Rich Froning, Angela DeChico, Rory McKernan had already recorded a podcast, but they released a reel from that podcast.
All right, that's the end of the podcast. That's all we had to talk about today, right? We've
Sign up for Mayhem Athlete.
I'm going to say this too. High Rocks sucks. Lots of clickbait on a lot of things we've done.
He's just the kind of guy that doesn't like to get high on his own supply, I guess.
What is the affiliates ever done for the CrossFit Games? Are you kidding me? You couldn't have the CrossFit Games without the affiliates.
If you want the good old day feels, come here.
They're going to talk a little bit more about that. It's supposed to air on Monday morning on the CrossFit Mayhem YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that. Week 31 of Kill Taylor. Prize money was up to $3,000, sponsored by Paper Straight Coffee. Workout was 4-time 40-30-20 of standing bike erg cows and D-ball ground to overhead. 50 pounds for the guys, 35 pounds for the ladies. Right off the bat, somebody comes in and beats Taylor. Now, in Taylor's defense, he just moved into a house. He's been building a fence and fixing cabinets and doing all the things all week. So maybe he's just tired.
That's a no.
Taylor's going to get beat, and then he's going to get beat, and then he's going to get beat.
Fuck off, Taylor.
Jesus, Caleb just left the strip club, almost missed his flight. Great photos, by the way, last night.
His mom's shift must have just ended.
And then CrossFit Games athlete Olivia Kerstetter called in. Her and Jacob Hepner did the workout together.
Olivia gets to do 32, 24, 16 because I don't like Brandon Smith.
Christ.
Nice.
Oh,
Where did you eat one of them?
Damn.
Mondo.
Hey, Jacob, I have a serious question.
I have a serious answer.
You think one of those like
The slick D balls are always going to be the hardest because it's grip based.
all right, cool. So you hear that, Brandon Smith? Fuck you. Thanks.
Hey, I don't think you should
beat you by 20.
And she did, in fact, kill Taylor. Jason Hopper put out a new YouTube video of his time at Fit Fest with Hopper Pepper.
What you gonna say to my dude? Hey, you're the most popular dude in CrossFit. You know that? Tell us what we need to do to level up our game.
You don't have nearly enough wiener dogs.
We got.
I have 6 now. You don't want to know what happens when I get 7.
Okay.
You can check that full video out on Jason Hopper's YouTube channel. Somebody sent me this story of Danielle Brandon. If CrossFit ended, what would you do next? And she just tags World Fitness Project. So CrossFit is not ending. CrossFit Games is not going anywhere. So does that mean you're in? Are you in or are you out? And speaking of World Fitness Project, they released a couple of their signed athletes for the upcoming season. Chandler Smith, Alex Gazan, Brooke Wells, and there will likely be more being announced throughout the week. Chandler Smith saying, use the tools you've got available to try make things better for whoever's next. Wasn't planning on another year of this type of fitness, but I believe being a part of this for a reason is maybe my best chance to both do something I believe in and to use what I've learned over the last decade to elevate the fitness space in 2025 back to work. I've always really liked Chandler Smith, so I don't want to be a bitch. Like, how are you going to make it better? What tools? Could you be more specific? Used what I've learned over the last decade to elevate the fitness space? What does that even mean? Brian Friend was on Michael Gruber's podcast. I'm not really sure who this dude is, but they talk about the state of CrossFit in the 2025 season. This podcast is 2 hours long, and he thinks very highly of himself, very highly of his work, very highly of everything that he does.
The athletes obviously know who I am. And they know, just like, I mean, most people would know, that I'm pretty good at keeping track of what's going on.
It's so hard for him to not come across as a complete and utter douche. He says he hasn't really sat down and told everything, his version of the story, since the games. I'm actually blown away by some of the things that he says in this podcast. For instance, he starts the podcast off by talking about how he got into the media space in CrossFit. And much like a lot of the media heads that are on the boycotting side of CrossFit right now, they all got their start because of one of three men. Greg Glassman, all of us basically, we wouldn't be here without the methodology. Dave Castro, because he created the games in his backyard, literally. And then everybody, the whole team behind that, right? But then Sevan Matosian. Brian acknowledges that the reason he even is in the position that he is in today is because of Sevan Matosian. Sevan brought him in and gave him a platform, his platform, Sevan's platform, to speak on.
Sent a DM to Sevan Matosian. He responded, gave me an opportunity, and everything since then has kind of, like, that was a turning point for me. And
he starts by talking about how he's been kicked out of the CrossFit Games, and he says that sets the stage for the rest of what he talks about.
There's some people in the CrossFit space that, for whatever reason, are looking for a reason to kick me out of the games. And I have been kicked out of the games before.
It seems that there is a common theme with all of the people that are up in arms about everything that happened. And it's that they've somehow been mistreated in the past by people at CrossFit. Or they've been kicked out of the games, or their voices weren't heard in the past, or they were fired from the media team. All of these people have some sort of grievance with CrossFit prior to what happened. That probably has nothing to do with their bitterness and outrage. There's a pattern there. They're all gravitating towards each other because they all have previous grievances with CrossFit.
So I don't know. That's just to kind of set the stage, I guess.
Yeah.
So he talks about the lake and where he was that day, and he couldn't go over to where they entered the water for some reason. So he was on the side of the lake that most of us were on. And from wherever he was standing, the Roca buoy was in the way, so he couldn't see the finish line. And he states that he goes over and he sees Anya and she is crying. And at that point, he thinks to himself,
oh my God, did he drown? Chad pulled me along. We went to the ice baths. We were doing some conversations there with Dallin Pepper and Brent Fikowski. And during that interview, Luca walks by.
So you thought that in that moment right then, you thought that, and you decided you were going to go over and interview athletes? I'm sorry, what? I'm blown away that he had said that. Then at that point, when he's over at the ice baths, Luca comes over and says, where's Lazar? And then he says, that's the second time.
And for the second time, it's crossed my mind, oh my God, he's drowned.
And then he brings up the fact that this isn't the first time that Lazar had pushed himself to a point of failure. He talked about the Burj Khalifa. He talked about the Capitol event at the 2022 CrossFit Games.
He's pushed himself to the limits before where his body has shut down in competition. It happened in the Burj Khalifa run. It happened at the end of the Capitol a couple years ago at the Games.
Because these athletes are willing to push themselves.
Because the athletes will make irresponsible decisions for their health to try to win an extra point on the field of play.
The heat plays a role for sure on everybody. Just a matter of, do you shy away from training in some hot heat, or do you try to take it on to get prepared?
I want to do it again.
You want to do it again?
Yeah.
When?
Just now.
Different workouts affect people differently.
Did you feel that you were going to faint at all when you were out there?
No, I didn't feel like I went to that stage. It was hard, it was warm. The last run, sucked.
Cammy, did you think about fainting at all out there?
No.
You start knowing more just how you feel and where is this limit of if you push too far, it's not worth it to pass out or have to walk.
And you're now saying that this happened several times to one person in a matter of 2 years, and that goes ignored.
He's pushed himself to the limits before where his body has shut down in competition. It happened in the Burj Khalifa run. It happened at the end of the Capitol a couple years ago at the Games.
You even state in here yourself, it is a perfect storm of events that happened.
The timing of what happened during that 1 minute from when he went underwater was the perfect storm of terrible circumstances.
It's if they are so clouded by their own grief and guilt that they can't even hear what they're saying. That is all for this dense update. Be sure to leave us a comment, like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're into this sort of thing, you can head over to my Instagram where you can follow me there for all the latest happenings in the CrossFit community.